gotta save my project so that I move fast. Can't stew on thoughts and ideas of the past. Ooh.
That was fun. Hey, that was pretty fun. I think we'll do that again sometime. Today, I want to tell you why saving multiple versions of your project while you're creating a song is a power move. And I've got 2 reasons for you. And let's just jump right into this. The very first reason why saving multiple versions of your project is a power move is because if you're doing something, manipulating a piece of audio, like maybe you're tuning a vocal or something, or de-essing it or de-breathing it, or maybe you're time aligning it because you're making some pop music and it's got to be right on the grid. When you're doing these things and you commit to them, that's a good thing sometimes. I like to commit to sounds and move forward quickly, but there's certain stages and certain things that I do while making a song that I want to be able to go back in time and adjust. I work with clients, and sometimes there's going to be someone who's like, dude, you made my note this note and it was supposed to be that note. So I have to change it, and I can just manipulate the audio further, but rather than tuning something and then tuning it the other way, I would rather manipulate the audio from the source, from the raw file, so that I'm not doing too much to a piece of audio. Or maybe I've de-essed the shit out of it, and after all my processing in the mixing stage, I'm like, I've de-essed it too much, all the sibilance is gone, I need it back. Or maybe I took all the breaths away and the singer's like, dude, you took all the breath away. I like the sound of my breathing. And they want it in the record, so I have to bring the breath back. And so I'll go back to the previous version of the project that I had, and I'll just bring it into my newest version and I'll adjust it from there. Easy peasy. But if I had committed to these in the first place, I would have been fucked. And another time that I use this is like, just for another example, there's a bunch of reasons why, but another time I'll use this is for like VST or MIDI instruments where I've created a sound and I've like played it on a MIDI keyboard or I've drawn it in, whatever. And I'm like committing to these sounds because I bounce them, I export them, and all I have is a piece of audio. And maybe I decide, I wanted to play a different note. Well, I have to load up the VST again and like find that sweet spot wherever I was at. And like I could take notes on this, but what's way faster, and I know I'm gonna nail it, is if I just go back to the previous version where I have that exact instrument loaded up. So that is the first reason why saving multiple versions of your project is a power move. The second reason revolves around something called the sunk cost fallacy. This is something that I learned about recently when listening to a podcast by these 2 dudes, Marcus and Malcolm. Their podcast is called Your Band Sucks, bracket at business, bracket. I'll give you a quick explanation on what the sunk cost fallacy actually is. And I'm just going to use the example that Malcolm or Marcus talked about on the podcast. And that is, if you were to order a burger, pay $10 for this burger, and you take a few bites and you're like, damn, this burger's shit. I don't want to eat this, but I spent $10 on it. I want to get my money's worth. I can't get my money back for it at this point. Like, fuck it, I'll just eat it. So you eat this shitty burger. And that's not cool. You don't want to be eating a bad burger. Like, you should just go get a new one. And the fact that you've already spent the money and your brain's like, you have to consume this now because you spent the money. It's like, that's it. That's the sunk cost fallacy. Now let's put this in musical terms to relate it to why I think you should be saving multiple versions of your projects. If you spend like 3 hours on a mix, for instance, or let's use my example. One time I spent over 15 hours on a mix and I was just tinkering, thousands of adjustments, tons of plugins and effects and things going on. And like, I felt like I was getting close, but at the same time, I was so far off. I listened to it and like, shit, this doesn't sound like a record. Now here lies my epiphany moment. What I did to finish this mix, and I finished it in 3 hours, is I saved a new version of the mix. I ripped off all of my plugins. I scrapped all my automation, all of this hard work that I had put in, but it was still in the other project. I know if I need it, I can grab it and drag it back in, but I started fresh. I set up a new session, no plugins, clean mixer. I took some time away from the mix, rest my ears, came back, they were fresh. I was feeling good. And I started to mix, and I banged out this mix in 3 hours. And I was so proud of myself. And that was my epiphany moment. That was me overcoming the sunk cost fallacy and just saying fuck it and ripping it apart and coming back to it. Now, the same thing can be applied to if you're like recording and you've been recording vocal takes for like 3 hours and you listen back later on and you're editing and you're like, these vocals suck. Well, don't spend another 6 hours manipulating them to sound good. Just go back and do it again. I promise it's going to be better. No, I can't promise you that. You might just be a shit vocalist, but there's a good chance that it's going to be better if you just get it right at the source, come back with fresh ears. Wow, I'm really hunched over today. This should be up. I should be like up here. Let me know if you guys like the way I did this video today with that song at the intro and that nice backtrack throughout. And if you want to see how I made it, I'll throw a few clips up so you can see. And by the way, I shot this entire thing in 4 hours. Hopefully I can edit this real quick. And the faster I can do this, the more videos I can make for you guys. And you can listen to me ramble more often. That's great.